Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Today we are joined by Rachael Wade, who has had an incredible season and really announced herself on the HYROX scene. At the World Championships, she finished second in her age group, third overall in the whole of the pro women's field, and she smashed the 60-minute barrier, which, as anyone knows, is a huge milestone in the sport. With performances like that, it's hard to imagine that we won't see her lining up in the Elite 15 next season. And it looks at the moment like maybe she's in the top 15 as of today's recording with like 517 points, but we know it can all change. So we're really excited to chat about the journey so far, delve into her business, RX Nutrition, and also find out what's next for the upcoming season. So Rachel, thank you so much for your time. We know the time difference has been manic and you've had a big house move in the middle of it. So, yeah, really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. I've listened to the show for quite some time, so it feels super surreal to be a guest on the show myself. So I appreciate you guys bringing me on.
Oh, no, thank you so much. We're super excited to find out more about you and how everything's been going in HYROX and also kind of how you first started to get into it. So, do you want to talk to us a little bit? I mean, is the move anything to do? You've just moved to Salt Lake City, is that right?
You got it. Yep, we moved from Birmingham, Alabama to Salt Lake City, Utah. So a big move, but it's been great. We
Awesome.
essentially moved just for the chance for an adventure. I'm an entrepreneur, like you guys mentioned, and my husband is too. So we're like, we'll use it as an expansion play, but really, we just want to go live in the mountains. And now I get to train at elevation too. So I didn't see that one coming, but it's been really great so far.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how has your kind of sporting journey evolved over the years? Where did it start and now it's led you to HYROX? Like, could you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I grew up playing soccer. I feel like that was like my first love as far as sport goes. My older brother did soccer. It's like what our whole family was invested in. And I was okay at soccer, but my main asset was that I could just run. I wasn't like very skilled on the ball per se, but I had endurance that could like last pretty long. And so ultimately, when it came down to decide where I wanted to go for school, I decided I was going to run instead of play soccer. And so ran in college. I went to the University of Texas and then I transferred to the University of Alabama and had a decent career, but I also had a lot of injuries, struggled with an eating disorder that led to just, yeah, ultimately a hip fracture, an Achilles tear, and a career ending injury at that point. And so, yeah, I just kind of came to terms with that, fell in love with nutrition and really getting to a healthier spot and wanting to help other women do the same thing. Went to school and kind of took a break from athletics and then started to kind of find my competitive edge again, jumped in a few marathons here and there, some CrossFit classes, and then HYROX became a thing over the last year for me that I jumped in, really not knowing anything about. And then the rest has kind of been history up until this point. So I've loved HYROX. I feel like it's the perfect blend for me of like that endurance background, but also getting to dabble in the strength side of things as well. So yeah, I never would have seen it coming, but after my first HYROX race, I was like, yeah, I'm totally hooked on this.
Sounds like you had the perfect lead. Did you, in your soccer or football, as we call it in the UK, did you play like midfield? Were you like just running around?
Yeah,
What position did you play?
yeah, pretty much. I was like the Energizer Bunny that either did like center mid or outside back, so just like ran the wing all day
Okay.
long.
And then
Yeah.
for the running, I thought you might I thought, but you never know, you could shock us and say you were like a goalkeeper or something.
No, I have no hand-eye coordination. That would not be a good fit for me.
So what and then the running, what distances did you run? Like I know you mentioned the marathon, was that later on? Did you start in college like running shorter distances, track and field?
Yeah, I was distance, but anything more so from like the mile to the 10K. So the 5K was mostly like where I found like the sweet spot for myself. Um, I also liked the 10K, and then post college, that's when I kind of started getting into the marathon. But I think I just did the marathon because it felt like the next step to like go and compete before I knew what HYROX was. But if I'm being honest, the marathon's pretty long for me. It's a long time to be in your body. So I'm like, HYROX it is. I like an hour. That's all I got.
Fair. And do you mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 30.
30.
Yep, just turned 30 in May.
Okay, also you've just also changed age category then. Like for HYROX, you'll be moving to the 30 to 34
Yep.
for the
Yeah,
year.
just aged up. So when I qualified for Worlds, I was still in the 25 to 29, which is why I competed in that at the World Championships, even though I was technically 30.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's cool. So that's why you ended up racing against Saskia.
Oh yeah, that girl is a beast. She's so impressive. On the last run, she lapped me. I was like, "You go, girl!" I mean, just like moving like the speed of light. So impressive. Yeah, it's gonna be cool to follow her journey.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Incredible athlete. I mean, there's so many like incredible women in HYROX and like lots more coming into the sport as well. Like, how have you found like from when you did your first like pro solo race to then obviously you just broke the 60-minute mark, like came second in your age group at Worlds, like you're now heading towards the Elite 15. We could maybe touch on that if that is a goal. But what's the journey like been like for you from that first race to then the one in June?
Yeah, it's a great question. My first race was in Atlanta last fall, and that's when I did a 105.49. And it's kind of crazy looking back on it now because I actually wasn't even supposed to be in town that weekend. Atlanta's only like 2 hours from Birmingham, so there was a crew of people that were planning to go race Atlanta. My mom was set to run the New York Marathon the same weekend, though. Unfortunately, she had to defer a year because she just had a nagging hip injury, and it was definitely the right decision. But because of that, my plans for the weekend opened up, and I was like, well, HYROX feels like something I would enjoy, and that there's like my husband and some of our friends are going. Like, I'm gonna go jump in this race. So signed up 2 weeks before. I literally had never pushed or pulled a sled. I was like, I'm just gonna go to our gym downtown, make sure I can move the weights. Looking back, I had no idea what I was doing. I still don't really know what I'm doing. I have a lot to learn for sure. But yeah, I came away with the 105, and I think I placed third overall. And yeah, I was immediately hooked, as I feel like most people are after they do HYROX, just like being able to compete in that arena, especially as an adult, to like find that again is really unique. And after finishing, my now coach, who's really just my friend, was like, "Hey, I think that you could be pretty good at this. Like, if you want to take it more seriously, I'd love to coach you." And so we actually had a meeting a couple of days after that to kind of map out what it would look like. And I owe him a lot of credit because at the top of our Google Doc, where he writes all my programming, it says Rachael Wade, Road to Elite 15. And I remember him writing that and being like, maybe in like 3 years from now, if I really commit to this, like I had no idea what was going to come next throughout the rest of the season. But yeah, after that, just really started to train a little bit more seriously, as seriously as I can, being a mom to two young kids, fitting it in where I can, like we were just talking about. And started to learn the sport of HYROX. It was kind of a confusing time for myself to come into it where the rules from that year were changing to the rules for next year and like the points based system. And so once we understood kind of the ins and outs of all of that, I started chipping off some different races and went to Vegas, which is where I hit a 101. And after that, I was like, okay, I think that like I could start to pursue this. From there, I went to Houston, Miami, Ottawa, and then New York. And then I competed at the World Championships. So hit a bunch of racing. I love racing. It was so much fun. And it was just cool to see like my points start to accumulate and make that Elite 15 goal start to become a reality coming into my second season. So it's been a wild journey, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's been a ton of fun.
Yeah, so cool. You were on 101 for a bit, weren't you? Like, didn't you get like 10, like you seem pretty consistent to get 101, and then you got a 58 in Stockholm, and I feel like that course, the World Champs course, was not a fast course. So
Yeah.
did you change something in training or like all the way through, or was it just the fact you were consistent and you just kept chipping away over the last few months?
Maybe just the consistency. I feel like a lot of my training this first season was really focused on just getting like strong enough to move the pro weights. Obviously, running's been more my background, so I could kind of get away with some of that compromised running. Now I'm like, okay, we got to work on running again. But I think that my stations really started to improve throughout the season. After I raced in New York, it was outside in like 90-degree heat, and that's where I hit a PB of like an hour 23, I think. And after that one, I was like, okay, I feel like that can convert to a sub 60. at World, so we'll see what happens. And then, especially getting to chase someone like Saskia, I owe her a lot of credit because I think she pulled me to a faster time. And like what you said, was a dense course as far as like the number of people out there. It was hot out there. It was not necessarily fast, and so I was really thankful to come away with that time at the end of the season.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's really impressive. Did you manage to stick to your race plan? Did you have a race plan going into Worlds? Like when you've got such a tight field, and you are racing like the top people in the world, you knew that you were going up against Saskia. Was it hard to stick to like what you wanted to do for the race and not get pulled in with other people, or how did you find that one for you?
I think I'm generally pretty good at pacing myself. Like I know that those ladies are gonna go out really hot, especially like when you watch the Elite 15 women. I'm like they're just blazing from the start. And I always want to put myself in a position where I can keep them in my line of sight, but know like that my strength is probably going to come a little bit later on in the race than at the start. And so I just try to do that at Worlds. And I don't know. I think I just really thrive on competition. So as long as I put myself up there near them, I'm pretty confident in myself that like I can hold on when it gets tough towards the end. So I don't have a ton of strategy other than like don't totally burn out at the beginning. And yeah, I knew the runs were specifically going to be very challenging chasing Saskia. So really tried to like push my stations a little bit more to gain as much as I could on her. But obviously she's on a different level right now. But yeah, I don't have a ton of strategy other than just to go out there and compete and have fun with it and see what I could do.
Yeah, it's cool. And what's your favorite station? Is there any that you prefer to other ones,
Well,
or don't you like?
it's constantly changing. I feel like after my first race, I was like, oh, I hate the burpees. It was terrible. And then I worked on burpees and I was like, man, I love the burpees. And now another station is coming because of that. Um, so right now, I would say my favorite, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I think my favorite is probably like the sled push. I
Oh
don't
wow.
know why. I feel like at Worlds, that's where I caught up with a lot of the field. I was in like fourth or fifth at that point, and then coming off the sled push, it was in second, I believe. And I don't know. I just think that, yeah, I can't believe I'm saying that again, but I think I found like a rhythm with it that I can get pretty comfortable and come off of it and still be able to get back to my running pace again. So I think it gives me a lot of confidence in the race to be able to pick back up after.
Yeah, fair. And if you because you come from a running background, then you've worked on your stations, and then you just said like you can get back into your running. Have you done anything specific to try and come off the station and get back to your running speed? Have you got any tips or tricks? Have you guys worked any wonders to find that like magic to get back into your running speed as quickly as possible when you come off a heavy sled?
Yeah, I think during like the end of my season, since I was racing so much, a lot of my training was very like HYROX movement specific. So there wasn't like a ton of time to like just train running or just train strength. So I practiced a lot, like when you do come off the sled, like getting right back to the pace and like what that feels like in my training so that when it gets to race, it's pretty translatable. Um, and then just getting really comfortable, whatever that pace is, like just doing it consistently in like every single workout. So when I get back to running, I know, okay, this is the feeling of what this should feel like. Um, but yeah, I think mentally too, just telling yourself like, yes, it hurts, but once you get running, like for me, the runs are not recovery by any means, but I can start to flush it out a little bit. So like if those first few steps hurt a lot, but then just telling myself, hey, just get through it. And then once you get moving again, it's going to feel a good bit better. So.
Did you like increase your cadence or anything like at the beginning, or do you like JK says he runs faster? Some people say they increase their cadence. Do you do anything like that, or do you just go, it's just gonna hurt, and then I'll just get into it?
No, I just know it's gonna hurt. Just move from there, whatever you got.
I love it. And what is I mean, we mentioned on the intro there, I think it looks like at the moment you're sitting 15th, if we're correct, in the standings for the Elite 15. Are you planning to go to the first major if that stays in play in Hamburg?
That's the hope. Yeah, if I get in, I definitely am gonna accept my spot. I'll certainly need to get one, maybe two more races just to hopefully like solidify being in that top 15. So I'll race at DC. early September. And then there's the HYROX race coming to Salt Lake 2 weeks after that, which will be exciting to have in my new hometown. So hopefully, one of those or both of those will give me enough points to really solidify staying in that top 15 to make my trip over to Hamburg.
Yeah, that's so cool, isn't it? Because I was going to say there's definitely, I've seen there's a race in Salt Lake, but it's going to be at elevation, isn't it? I mean, it'll help that you're living there, but do you think it will be a tough race because it will be maybe slower if it's at elevation?
Yeah, training at elevation has been no joke. It's taken me some time to adjust. I'm like, man, I go out on my threshold runs and my heart rate's like significantly higher than it's been. So I think it'll be challenging, but hopefully I'll have the advantage having like being able, one, to sleep in my own bed, but two, to be acclimated to the elevation. So I'm curious to see who else will come race out here, but it'll be fun. I mean, that time of year here in Salt Lake is supposed to be beautiful with like the leaves changing colors and everything. So I think people will enjoy making a trip out of it and getting to race as well.
Yeah, and I guess now it's on points. It's not a race for time, it's a race for the win, for the points, for the closest to first place.
That's right.
It's like
it's probably better, isn't it?
Yeah.
For races like that anyway.
Yeah.
Do you prefer racing against people? I mean, you just said like you had a really good race in Saskia and that helped you like pull you along. Would you prefer that to a time trial for time?
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. I believe up until that point, I think that because I've been in like wave two a good bit, and because of that, I've been out in front until I had my license, and so I think that was the first time that someone has like pulled me along for the whole race, and it definitely like led me to a faster time, which was great. And I thrive on the competition aspect of it. I think it's really fun to have other women there, and that's something like I've loved so much about HYROX is like there's so many fierce competitors, but as soon as you cross that finish line, you're like hugging and celebrating with one another, and like the camaraderie around the sport is really special. So I'm all about it. And if I get the chance to toe the line with the elite 15 women, I know that will be no different. So yeah, I thrive in the competitive arena. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, that's nice. And then can we talk a little bit about like the nutrition side, female health, like if you want to share a little bit more about what you do or go into how you recovered from the eating disorder, how you train now to fuel your body for all I imagine you're doing quite a lot of hours training. Could you just give us an insight into all of that?
Absolutely. Yeah, so professionally, I'm a dietitian, have my master's in nutrition and then my doctoral degree in public health. And like I mentioned earlier in my life, I struggled a good bit with an eating disorder. This really started from this concept of orthorexia. I just had like a really strong obsession with like eating healthy and thought I was doing the right things, but definitely took that to an extreme where lost a lot of weight and again like we mentioned struggled with a lot of injuries and ultimately realized that I couldn't keep living this way, and that's when I like found the study of nutrition, sought professional help for it, and really started to flip the script and fell in love with just how we fuel our body, yes, for performance but also for lifelong health. And so coming out of school, I was like, I want to be able to do this in a way that I can see the impact I make on people. And that's when I started my personal private practice that's called RX Nutrition. We call it RX because everything is like prescribed and individualized to the person that we're working with. And so mainly that's in the area of women's health, but then we have a few different like subcategories underneath that. So I work with eating disorders and then sports nutrition. And then I have two other dietitians that also do eating disorders and gut health. And so it's been really cool to see just like the practice evolve over the years and the way that like we really individualize everything we do. It's like a very holistic model of nutrition. And we say all the time, like nutrition is a huge piece to the puzzle, but it's really only one piece. We really have to take like the context of everything else going on in someone's life. So their physical activity, their sleep, their stress management, their relationships to really allow food to take its full effect. So that's been a really, really cool thing that I've been able to pour into other women with, but also learn myself. And especially now when I'm in HYROX and balancing that with being a mom and a wife and an entrepreneur, like nutrition is so foundational. And so I use a lot of the tools that I share with other clients in my own day-to-day life, whether it's like pre and post workout fueling, like making sure I'm getting like enough energy. I think that's the biggest thing I see is sometimes we underestimate how much fuel we actually need to live, but also to perform at the level that we're asking our bodies to. So it's been really fascinating to see, especially for myself, like the difference from when I was in college and really struggled and then had a bunch of injuries versus now where maybe I've had a few niggly things pop up here and there, but I feel like my nutrition has made such a big difference in my ability to continue to compete and to perform at the level that I am. So that's a little bit about it in a nutshell.
Yeah, no, like really a huge topic, and I think it's quite like prevalent at the moment. A lot of people are talking about it, trying to make sure that they're fueling correctly for the volume of training and the intensity, especially with HYROX like booming. Do you have any like guidelines for any of our listeners, like females in particular, that they might be able to try and follow if they're a bit lost as to where to start with, like what to eat, when to eat, that sort of thing around their training?
Yeah, I think everything is so personalized. So I try to stay away from like the cookie cutter, like one size fits all. But I think like starting with the foundations is always going to be helpful no matter who you are. So making sure like, okay, first and foremost, are you getting like 7 to 8 hours of sleep at night? Are you drinking like at least half your body weight in ounces of water? Probably need an electrolyte in there too for most people. Are you eating 3 balanced meals? And by balanced meals, I mean like lean protein, complex carb, healthy fat, fiber. Are you fueling before and after your workouts with like a good, rich carbohydrate source beforehand, protein and carbs afterwards? And so, like, are we getting just those vital foundations in first and foremost would be like my primary tips. And then of course from there you can like optimize performance. Like what specifically does this look like for you individually, whether it's like looking at specific macros if you need to, or not counting, but understanding what your portion should look like for yourself. Talking about different supplements, like there's a lot of things you can do from there, but I think the foundations is always the best place to start, and just making sure like you day to day are getting in at least the basis of what your body needs.
Yeah, that's so cool. And what about race day? Do you like do anything specific on race day or the days leading up to a race? And during the race, do you fuel during the race?
I do. So I'm all about carbohydrates. I think people think I'm crazy sometimes, but I like carb load for a HYROX race because I'm like I in my mind, I know there's still, not a ton of research necessarily out there yet on HYROX because it is a newer sport. But in my mind, the closest parallel I have is like a half marathon. And if I was running a half marathon, I would definitely do like a mini carb load, like 48 hours ahead of time. And that's exactly what I do. I think HYROX definitely demands that, especially because, like you guys said, it is so intense. And so that intensity does require extra fuel as well, which I think sometimes we forget. So I carb load a good bit, over 400 grams of carbs, 8 hours leading into it. It is challenging, but it's definitely necessary. And there's ways that you can be like practical about getting in those carbs, whether it is like drinking juice or dried fruit, like those kinds of things. People are like, you must be eating all day, every day. And I'm like, yes, I am, but there's ways to be sneaky with it. So then going into the race, yeah, I'm topped off with my glycogen stores feeling good. And I take 2 gels during my race as well. So I take one at the start line, like right before we begin. And then I take another one usually after the burpees, just because I feel like my gut can tolerate a little bit better after that point. I would like to stop for water, but I don't know. I feel like with the competition, it's really tricky to do that. And, in HYROX, it's hard because you can't like run with your cup. You have to like stand there and drink it and then throw it down. So I've taken it a few times, but generally I just chug my water and my electrolytes once I cross the finish line.
Yeah, fair. But if you did the Elite 15 race, because there's a feed table, isn't there? So you can put a bottle
Yes.
down, something like that. Would you put something? Would you like have some electrolytes or some water or a carb mix down or something if you had the option?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if there was an option like that, and if I get the opportunity to, I'll certainly do that because I think it's necessary.
Oh,
That
fair.
might be a nice treat.
Yeah.
You'd be like, yes, I can
Yeah.
actually.
Wet my palate in this dry environment. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, totally.
And you said about your eating disorder, but it was more about the fact you got like almost obsessed with eating healthily. Like,
Mhm.
could you go a bit more into that? Because I think sometimes I don't know, there's a lot of crossover. There's a lot of stuff in sport now, and a lot of people saying like carbs are like sugar, like your body needs it. And sometimes there's a time and a place to, especially running up to a race, to like cut out fiber and cut out protein and have something like simple carbs so your body uses the sugar. And I guess if you're trying to eat too healthy all the time, you're not going to get the sugars in that your body needs. I don't know. What was the problem with being ultra healthy versus also giving your body
Yeah.
brain? Could you expand a little bit on that?
Yeah. Absolutely. So it just, again, it started from like a really quote unquote good place, right? Of wanting to nourish my body with all the foods that I knew were health promoting. But I think the issue is that quickly turned into restrictive eating for me. So I would be very fearful of like going out to have ice cream with my family or having anything that wasn't homemade and I knew all the ingredients too. So I think it was twofold of like, I probably wasn't getting in enough energy because I became fearful of anything with like high fat or anything that was even minimally processed. So missing enough calories. But then two, just got really restrictive with it. So it was probably not getting enough intake because of that. So I think like there's nothing wrong with wanting to eat really well, right? To like nourish our body as best as we possibly can. But I think there's certainly a balance that makes us sustainable. And I say this a lot in my practice. It's like this 80-20 approach to nutrition that I think can be an overused term, but I think it's so true when we look at it in the context of nutrition, because if 80% of the time we're fueling our body with all the foods that are quote unquote good, we know we're going to nourish our body for all the amazing functions that it can do. That's more than enough to account for 20% of the time when you just have something because you enjoy it, because it's a memory, because it's a celebration, because yeah, whatever the reason is, you just want to have that food. And that is what I think makes it sustainable. Like for me, I was so locked into an all or nothing mindset with nutrition, and that made me spiral. It created anxiety for me around food. Like I don't think it was any way for me to live long term. And when I came out of that, there's no longer fearing food, and I found joy in it while still wanting to nourish my body really, really well. I saw this balance take place that I was like, okay, I think if I could help other women see this too, like long term, this is what food is created for, right? To nourish our bodies and our souls in all the best ways. And so, yeah, I think it's like the restriction side of it that came out of it that was more of the issue than just the food itself. But on the other side of it now, I can see how, yeah, the balance is what makes it sustainable.
Yeah.
And was it the injuries that like made you aware that there was something going on? Is that what brought it to light that something needed to change, or was there other warning signs that made you think, oh, this might not be right, or I might not be getting enough of what I need?
Yeah. For me, my weight became like a primary concern. I lost a good bit of weight and had loved ones in my life, thankfully, who were really concerned seeing that. And so I actually sought help and was in recovery from my eating disorder before the injuries onset, as crazy as that is. But I think my body had just been through so much over the years prior that even if I was nourishing it right, I think the mix of having been underfueled for so long, plus at that point overtraining, led to those injuries. And so I think it's a combination of that. But yeah, I think it really reinforced this idea of fueling for sport at that point in my life, because even though I was like recovering from my eating disorder, I didn't really understand just how important like eating right before I work out and eating right after and like all of these things like that play into keeping my body healthy was so vital. And so I think the injuries helped me further recover, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And you don't know what you don't know, do you? Until like either you look into it or somebody helps you, or like I guess now
Absolutely.
information coming out, and it's amazing that people like you are like sharing the information, because I did see a post you put up and you said about like what your body can do and like just checking in to make sure that you're fueling, and yeah, and what your body looks like what your body can do over what it looks like, and taking like
Yeah,
into consideration rather than just thinking, cool, I look great, or I need to lose weight so I
that's
look great.
right.
Thinking about like how incredible our bodies are and what they can do for us.
Absolutely. Yeah, hindsight's always 2020, but I also look back on that season of my life with a lot of gratitude, as crazy as that sounds. Even though it was some of the hardest things I've walked through, I wouldn't be where I am today and have the perspective on my sport that I never saw coming again. But I wouldn't have the perspective that I have now had I not walked through that. And I also feel like I'm in the position I'm in to be able to hopefully have a platform to share with other young women coming up in the sport of like, please learn from my mistakes. And also like, things look great and I'm really proud of the season I've had, but I think I have a lot of appreciation for it because it wasn't always that way previously when I did have a bunch of injuries and was sidelined for a very long time. I think now like the proof is in the pudding, like nutrition and taking care of your body makes such a difference. And also just taking the pressure off yourself and just having fun with the sport. Obviously, there's a little bit more pressure on it now as I'm hopefully going to enter the Elite 15 and working with sponsors and everything. But at the root of it, like this is for fun. And the moment it stops being that way, like I don't want to do it anymore. And so I think that's a key component that I want to share with younger women as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. I love that. And then I feel like we need to touch on mum life a little bit. We have a lot of mums that listen to the podcast. So I don't know if you've got any tips that you could give to help juggle mum life, have a little bit of time for you, like get your training in. Like what does it look like for you? Are you here, there, and everywhere, or do you have like a solid routine down? How do you do it?
Yeah, like I said, entering HYROX at the time I did has been the most unexpected season of my life. When I did my first HYROX race, my daughter was 8 months old. And so it has been, yeah, just a balancing act to say the least. Now my son is 3, my daughter is 1 now. And so it is loud and crazy, double toddlers, but it's so much fun. Sometimes me and my husband look at each other and we're like, we do a lot. Like this is kind of crazy, but we're also like, we wouldn't want it any other way at the same time, And I think it's a really special season to be able to bring them along with us. Like my son will just start doing like burpee broad jumps in the kitchen just because he's like not like all in on HYROX too. So yeah, and I think as far as balancing things go, I'm really, really blessed with an amazing husband who is so incredibly supportive of whatever my dreams in life are, whether it's RX nutrition or pursuing HYROX now, while also wanting to be a really present mom. So like even right now, he's taking care of the kiddos for me to have this opportunity to be on the podcast with you guys. And so that's really helpful. We're really good at communicating and making sure, like with his business as well, that I'm there to support him and that we navigate our days together as a team. But I think, like you said, it's really important to take time for yourself as a mom too. I found that like my goal with my kids is always to be as present as I can to let them know like mom loves you and she loves being your mom. And in order for her to do that, she also needs something that sets her own soul on fire too. And I think I found that in HYROX over the last year, which has been really cool. I think I've kind of been searching for that thing outside of work that, just allows me to have that competitive edge and then come home and, be on my exercise high and show up as a better mom. And so that's been a really special thing to see over the last year. And again, like I mentioned, my son definitely and my daughter starting to just like be totally in love with this journey, getting to travel with us and see me in races, watch the videos afterwards. It's been special to see how it's not only encouraged me, but encouraged them as well. And what I hope that they'll step into, whether it's HYROX, but just fitness as a whole, because I think it's so helpful for physical health, but also mental and emotional too.
That's so cool. I mean, how many kids must be watching their parents do HYROX and doing burpee broad jumps now? Like, it's just so funny. Kids doing burpees, wanting to push sleds, and yeah, it's crazy. What do you work out? Well, I know you've only just moved now, but do you have a gym at home? And I know, doesn't your husband own gyms? That's his business, isn't it? Is he in like the gym?
Yeah,
Have
you got it. Yeah, so our structure these days is a little wonky just because we're like finding what our new rhythms look like out in Salt Lake. But you're right, my husband does start different fitness concepts. So he has a CrossFit gym that's in Birmingham, and then he has a HIIT style gym that has been franchised throughout the Southeast that we're also going to bring over here out west. And then he also has a HYROX concept. That's something that came about over the last year as well that we hope to bring here, hopefully by the new year. So kind of working on that behind the scenes right now. And in the meantime, I'm training a little bit in our garage with some equipment that we've been able to pick up and piece together for the time being. And then at Lifetime right down the road, which has been a fine fit for now. But my like passion for fitness lives in community, and I love doing it with other people. And so I'm kind of missing that right now. I'm excited for when the gym opens to hopefully be able to build that here in Salt Lake.
Oh, that's really cool.
I mean, you are busy, aren't you?
I know. Blimey.
Yes, I know. Two entrepreneurs in one house with two kids are like, man, this is either crazy, but maybe it'll pay off one day. No, but it's fun. I mean, I feel like we both get to do like what we're so passionate about and again, see the impact that we make on people. And so we believe in each other, and it's a special thing to get to navigate with one another.
Yeah, it's so cool. And do you ever get a chance to work out with each other, or do you tag team it? So like, do you have any support? Have you moved to Salt Lake and you've got any support with like friends and family, or are you guys just there on your own?
We have some good friends that live right around the corner from us, but apart from that, we don't have any like family or support like childcare wise here right now. So we do a lot of tag teaming at the moment. But as much as we can work out together, if it's like early in the morning in the garage together, that kind of a thing, we really enjoy the opportunity to.
Did you ever do a mixed doubles?
I'm trying to convince him to do one with me. I'm hoping at some point. He said probably not this year, but maybe after that I can get into. My husband is very much like a strength and speed, like power athlete, and I'm more of the endurance style athlete. So we're probably not the best fit for one another because he would just do all the stations and then I would take away on the runs. But hopefully we could figure out a way for us to work together to be able to do a mixed doubles because I think it'd be really special. I love seeing couples get to navigate that together.
Yeah, you almost need a HYROX to come in where it's like someone does the runs and someone does the stations. Like they need to bring that in. You guys would rock that, hey?
Yes, that would be our event for sure.
And
So good.
going back to nutrition for a second, because we've got a very important question. We just had a podcast with Rachael O'Connor. So she eats bagels. That's her thing before. And I know this is a question like that we speak. It's my new question now that we speak to like loads of people about just off the podcast. But she has a bagel like pre-race or pre-training. But if she can't get to a toaster, she'll eat the bagel not toasted, like a bagel, like a chewy bagel, not toasted. Would you eat a bagel not toasted?
I would eat a bagel not toasted. That's typically what I do before a race.
I think this is where we're going wrong. I want to find out if this is an elite thing now. I'd like this does not make sense to me. Is it not so chewy?
It is pretty chewy. Is that your problem with it? That it doesn't have as much texture versus the toasted?
Toast it. I can eat it. If like just eat. I'm gonna have to go and just eat a bagel not toasted.
Before you
Maybe this is what it is because like I feel like elite athletes are all like, yeah, it's fine. I just eat bagels whether they're toasted or not toasted. But I
That's
feel like
so funny.
a normal person will only eat a bagel.
Is that your pre-race go-to, a bagel?
Yeah, typically a bagel with peanut butter and banana and then a little salt on top. But I do agree, like my preference would be to have it toasted, but typically there's not like a toaster in the hotel room, so gotta work with what you got. But I love this debate. It's hilarious.
And then what about post race? Do you have like a tradition, like in the evening, do you try and have a nice like a pizza, or is there something that's like your go-to like after a race, or anything you can get your hands on?
Yes. Yeah, I love to go out for ice cream the night after a race. So in Stockholm, my husband and I found this gelato place that was unreal, like the richest chocolate gelato I've ever had, and it hit the spot. They gave me like 3 scoops of it too. Like this is exactly what we need after a big season to end it in the way we did. It was special, but yeah, that's always what I'm looking for after a race.
Did you like Stockholm? Like
Yeah, I did. It was lovely.
Isn't it? I thought like
Yeah.
And what do you think about Hong Kong?
Oh yeah.
For the world champs, is that good for you? Not good? I mean, what travel's that?
That's probably quite far.
That's quite far.
It's really far. Yeah. Yeah, at first I was just like, Man, I mean, transparently in Sweden, I struggled a good bit with the time change. My race was at 8 a.m. in Stockholm, which was 1 a.m. my time. And so I felt the pressure of like really getting on their time zone. And then when you feel pressure to sleep, sometimes that makes sleep harder, at least for myself. So when I found out it was Hong Kong, I was like, oh dear, I'm going to need to get there a week in advance. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, what an opportunity. Like, I feel like that would be a bucket list like place to get to go, and for HYROX to be the reason to do that would be really special. And so yeah, I'm gung-ho about it. I think it'll be great. I probably will get there a week ahead of time just to make sure I can adjust, but my husband and I are hopeful that we'll be able to bring our kiddos and make a big family trip out of it. So I'm really, really excited.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I kind of thought the same when I was like, oh wow, that's quite far. And then I was like, I probably like would always want to go. So
Yes,
it's a good, yeah, it's a good reason to go and like take it off and yeah, be somewhere different, experience a different culture, like see the city. Why not? Yeah.
Wonder if
That's right.
you can do rice pre.
That's my only thing. Like, I don't know, right? Yeah. I mean, rice is good to eat pre-race, so
Yeah, you'll be all right. You can just take bagels in your bag. You don't need a
Yeah.
toast.
Yeah. Bring a suitcase full of
I'll bring a
my
toaster.
bagels not toasted.
I might start renting a toaster out pre-race to all the elites. Like to come and start a business.
And then I'm also gonna ask what shoes you choose to race in because there's been a lot of like companies coming out with HYROX shoes and a lot of people kind of changing up what they're doing, trying to work out if it's more of a runner's game to go for more of a running shoe. As an ex-runner, like what's your shoe choice? What do you like?
Yeah. Well, it's been tricky to navigate, like you said, because I feel like what is great for running might not translate great to like pushing the sleds or pulling the sleds. And I've tried some of the run shoes that I would go to, and I've fallen right down on the turf. So it's been kind of like, yeah, a tricky thing to navigate. And I changed up my shoes a good bit. I think my first race, I just wore like my Hoka trainers, like the Cliftons. And then after that, I was like, okay, I want to get something with like the carbon plate included and everything to try to keep up with these other ladies. Um, so I wore the Saucony Endorphin Pros for a good bit, and I really, really enjoyed those shoes. Um, but then I put on the Nike Zoom Flies, which I don't think a lot of people actually wear for HYROX, but I noticed a huge difference on the turf for my both my sled push and my sled pull, and those are my stations I was like really like honing in on and trying to improve upon. And so once I saw that difference, I was like, even if I don't feel quite as bouncy on my runs, I think it's worth it for me to make up the time there. So that's what I've been in as of late. But I also just got a pair of the Puma uh what's the go-to HYROX shoe with like the carbon plate, the one that everyone wears, like the
Deviate.
Yeah.
DVA, yeah. And I just got a pair of those in the mail, and I wore them for a threshold session last week, and I hit some faces that I haven't seen in like over 10 years. So I'm like, okay, if these feel good on the sleds, then these might be my go-to shoes from here on out. So all that to say, I've been all over the map with shoes trying to figure it out because it is a tricky sport to learn what shoes are best for.
It's hard. Like, and do you do your running out, like your threshold running outside on a track, on a treadmill? Like, what's your preference, or do you mix it up?
Yeah, usually outside. Where we live now, there's like a perfect 2K loop around a lake. And it's nice just to be close to home with the kids and everything if I need to pop back in for a second for any reason. So usually outside. Sometimes if I'm at the gym, I'll hop on a treadmill, but my preference is definitely to do it outside.
Yeah, nice. And has there been any like off-season goals, focuses, races, like non-HYROX races, like that you've been focusing on since Worlds, or have you just been having a bit of downtime before building up again? I mean, September is actually not that far away, so I feel like you might be building for September, but
Yeah.
I'll still ask the question.
No, I love it. I definitely took some time off right following Worlds. I just wanted to like give my body physically and mentally just a little bit of break from being on. And then like 4 days after we got back from Sweden, we did the road trip out here to Salt Lake. And so I wasn't really moving my body a ton during that either. But then once we got here and settled in, it started to pick back up a little bit and did somewhat of a strength session. But then our goal with this off season has been to make running more of a weapon in my HYROX races. So focusing more on that, doing both LT1 and LT2 workouts with my runs in the week, and being a little more specific about the paces I'm hitting with it, so that hopefully those will feel more comfortable in a race. So I'm excited to see hopefully how it comes together when I race in DC here in a few weeks. But yeah, it's been like a short quote unquote off season, but I feel like with the new point system and everything, it's like you got to get back to it pretty quickly. So, but I love racing, so I'm not mad about
it. Yeah. Did you do like specific testing for your lactate, or did you already know your numbers previously from other training and racing?
Yeah, I did a VO2 max and then lactate threshold testing at Stanford University in Birmingham before I moved, which was really helpful for my coach to be able to prescribe exact paces for me to hit on workouts. So super thankful to have that data going forward. And I think it's something that we'll probably repeat at least yearly, but hopefully twice a year, just to see like the progression of my training, but also like what those paces need to adjust to so that we can keep advancing. So.
Yeah, no, okay.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, crazy. And then, so your aim for next season then to do a couple more races and then hopefully make the first Elite 15 race? Is that what you're hoping, is to then jump into, I think they're calling it the Elite 15 series now, aren't they? Like there's going to be 5 races. It's not majors anymore or something.
It keeps changing.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of changes going on, like trying to keep up with it all. Yeah, that's the goal. I feel like the Elite 15 dream really like took place at the end of last season, and so now my sights have really only been set on that first Elite 15 race or major. Beyond that, don't really know what the rest of the season will look like. I feel like I'll just figure it out as I go, but the goal is to get to that one, and then I mean hopefully get to the others as well, and ultimately the goal being to solidify my spot at Worlds in the Elite 15, but just going to take it one race at a time and see what happens. So
that's cool. And so that's in solo. Do you have any aspirations to race doubles as well, or are you just going to solely focus on the solo racing?
I would love to do doubles if like the right opportunity comes up, and there's a partner that like matches what I'm doing in HYROX. I think it would be a really fun thing to take on along with solo, but I don't have any formal plans for it right now. I think like being so new to the sport, I also want to be mindful of the amount of racing that would require. And with my history of injuries, I'm very mindful of like my training load and then racing load as well. So it's definitely something I would want to do, but I would just be like looking for the right partner to take it on with. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's cool.
And just sorry, because you mentioned that, I'll round up in a second, but do you reduce your running volume because of a history of like injuries or stress fractures? Like, do you try and keep that on the lower side and say supplement with like cross training that ergs the bike, or are you quite good at managing like a higher run volume to complement like HYROX training?
Yeah, people are always surprised when I say this, but I probably train 7 to 8 hours a week, which I feel like is really low training volume compared to most elite HYROX athletes. But for me, I feel like it's a mix of a few things. Like I do come from like a history of some pretty severe injuries, and so getting back into sport, that's something I've been really mindful of. And my coach is great too about making sure like he doesn't want to risk that being the case. Like an injury coming up or just risking like burnout with training. And then also just with some of the other hats I wear in life between like running my business and being a mom to my kids, I don't have as much time in the day to get like a ton of training volume in. And so the training that I do, the goal is more so to be like really specific about the stimulus I'm hitting and making sure I get the right intensity out of it versus doing it for long periods of time just for the sake of like hitting more volume. So all that to say, I probably run less than 20 miles a week as far as like the running volume goes, pretty low volume. I think my body could possibly handle more now since I am like really on top of like rehab and nutrition and everything like that. But I don't know, my coach has a strong mindset that he always wants me to feel like I almost could do more, and that's a good way to feel, because then you're never going to like run the risk of like burnout or injury if you always feel like maybe I could do a little bit more today. He thinks that's like a healthy place to sit. So it's working so far. I'm feeling good. I'm enjoying the training, and I feel like ready to go when I toe the start line. So I don't have any need or feeling like I need to change anything right now. So we're going to keep it the way it is, but maybe at some point we'll start to inch it up a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting. And like Linda Meyer won the world champs last year, and she had quite a low training volume. But like I guess
Yeah.
for you, I guess you and your coach, it's like quality of sessions, isn't it? You're hitting the right stimulus rather than quantity, and maybe like fitting in the volume, but not actually hitting the hard sessions hard and then recovering in the easy sessions.
And I think it's important to know what else is going on in your life. Like you said, you're running a business, you've got kids, like you've just moved, like all of these things like are a stress, and you've got to find what works for you, and it's clearly working.
Yeah.
I mean, you just did the Worlds and Games like second, so I feel like keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I always say I'm like, I'm gonna take this serious with quotation marks around it, but like as seriously as I can given the season of life I'm in. And again, the goal is just to keep having fun with it because that's ultimately what this is all about. So just want to enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, and if it's working, I'm like a big believer we don't need to fix what's not broken. So I'm thankful that it's working out the way it is so far.
Yeah, no, totally. I
Yeah,
love
super
that.
cool. It's cool to hear. It's cool to hear as well. Like,
Yeah.
it's good for people to hear that that is possible, because I think some people sometimes think, oh, I don't have enough time, so I couldn't possibly do it. Whereas you just that you can, you just have to, do what's right for you. Everyone's training is individual, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
everything's, we're all different.
Yeah, totally. Well, that's probably
Right.
quite a place for me to round up and ask you our final question, which would be, what message or advice would you give to your younger self or the next generation of girls coming up?
Yeah, I love that you guys end the podcast with this question because I just think it's, yeah, so worthwhile for anyone listening, and especially the younger women that you guys are pouring into. Um, yeah, and I thought a lot about this question, what I would say. And I think for me, the biggest piece of advice I would give is like your worth is not tied to your performance, whether that is like athletic, academic, like social, aesthetic, like whatever like area you're looking at. I think it's so important to remember, like we were saying, like appreciate what your body can do, not what it looks like, just for example. And yeah, I think for me, I'm a believer, I'm a Christian, and I find my identity solely in the Lord. And I think whether you're a believer or not, like remembering like what you do is not who you are. Who you are is who you are, and finding your identity solely in that. And just for myself, like when I think back on my life, like I put so much pressure on myself to like perform a certain way to get into this school, whether that was with grades or with times that I ran, or pressure on, yeah, the way I looked, or any area that you can think of. And when I look back on it, I'm like, man, like it just wasn't worth it. Like I wasn't enjoying life doing that. And later in life, someone gave me this advice, and it's so simple, but I think it's so helpful. They were just like, literally, Rachel, all you can do is do your best. That's all you can do in anything in life. Just do your best, and then the rest is history. Like you can't do anything else. You just do your best. And that was like the most simple piece of advice that I'll never forget because it was just so freeing to me. And I think now in life, and like especially when I think about my HYROX career right now, like all I can do is do my best when I go race or when I'm with my kids and I'm trying to be a good mom or be a good wife or whatever it is. All I can do is do my best. And at the end of it, like my performance is what it is, and that's not what my worth is tied to. My worth is tied to the fact that I did my best and I showed up as the best version of myself, and that's literally all I could do. And so if I could say that to younger women, I would just say, like, take the pressure off, have fun in the journey, and just show up and do your absolute best in whatever you're doing, and then that is all that you can do. So yeah.
It is really true and really powerful, and I think a lot of people will resonate and take something from that. And all the advice you've given on the podcast and just hearing a little bit more about you, it's been so nice to get to know you and hear more about your journey and what you do. And you're doing some amazing things, and thank you for everything you've shared for like our listeners and other women, because I think it'll be really helpful. So it's been amazing to chat. Where can people follow the rest of your journey, find out more, or are you open for helping people with nutrition at the moment, or are you full? Like, tell us all about that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you guys can find me. I'm on Instagram. It's just Rachael Wade _. That's my personal Instagram account. And then my business account is RX Nutrition Counseling. It's kind of a mouthful, but if you just search RX Nutrition, it will likely come up. And I am taking clients. I've scaled it back a little bit just as I have my other dietitians who are amazing and can certainly take on clients as well. And then I'm pursuing HYROX right now as well. So still seeing some clients just in a little bit of a smaller capacity, but would love to work with anyone who's interested in learning more about fueling for their sport or just fueling for longevity of life. And then on our Instagram, you can find like ways to connect with us through social media or through our website. Book a free intro call, and we'd love to chat more with you about what that could look like for you personally.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Awesome.
thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for making the time. I can't
Absolutely.
get an hour of your time.
No. Thanks to your husband
Oh no, he's all for it. He's like, anything you need to do. This is such an amazing opportunity. And I'm constantly listening to y'all's podcasts. So he's a big supporter. I'm a big supporter. And thank you guys for all the work you're doing as well.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot. Thank you so much. And good luck in the upcoming races.
Yeah.
Huge good luck, and hopefully we'll see you in Hong Kong, if not before then.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll cross paths before then, but if not, hopefully we'll all be in Hong Kong and we can see each other there.
Absolutely. I would love that. Would love to connect in person. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Cheers, Val.